Hello, everybody. Today we are with another special guest in Short-Term Rental Cafés on Monday. Subtítulos en español están abajo, los podéis activar. And today we speak in English again with Mark Simpson from Bruce Lee. Hello, Mark. How are you today?
I am very good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. We've been chatting off air, and this is very exciting to be part of the Short-Term Rental Cafe. And thank you so much for doing this in English. I know it's your mother tongue, and I lived 2 years in Spain, but yet my Spanish, sorry, is not up to scratch. So I'm afraid thank you for doing this.
Oh, really happy to have you here because you are really a reference, like a kind of a landmark for a lot of people in this industry. And I want to ask you this, Mark. I ask everybody this first question. What would you say to somebody who starts in Airbnb or STR business right now?
To get started, is that the question? Sorry. What would you say to someone who wants to get? Okay, so someone who wants to get going. I think my big advice to somebody right now, seeing that we are recording this in 2022, is that if you are going to do this, what I would really encourage you to do is not just find somewhere and open it up as an Airbnb, so to speak. I would really do a bit of research on find the right location. So whether that location is going to be, then think about who are the types of guests that go to that area. As in, for example, I spent 2 years in Javier. So I would go, I'm going to base this on the assumption of Javier, which is near Alicante on the beach. So who normally goes there? So it's, I would think about, okay, who normally goes to Javier? It's normally people from Madrid, from Valencia, from Barcelona, from more inland places, and they go to the coast. So I'd think about that. So think about the people that are coming to the area, and then think about the property that you have. So do you have one that's more suited for families? Are you in an apartment? Do you have like ideal location to the beach? And then what you want to do on the back of it then is you will have what's called your ideal guest. I call it a customer avatar, which basically means the ideal people that you want in your property. Because when you figure that out and you go down your niche, whatever your niche is going to be, then your whole world and your whole life becomes easier, because you're not trying to appeal to everybody. You're not trying to market to everybody. You're going to market to a select few. And, I think that would be my major recommendation for people who are looking to get started, because when you get started, I'm going to go on the assumption you've just got one property. You're not going to go all out and get 20 properties like off the bat. So you've only got one property. That property has only got 365 days in the next calendar year that you need to fill. So it's very limited availability. So again, don't try and appeal to everybody, appeal to a few. And I think that would be my big recommendation, because the reason why is that coming out of the last few years, so many people are now coming into this industry. People that maybe had long-term stays or whatever, they're now switching to this new model of short-term rental, Airbnb, whatever you want to call it. Because if you're a homeowner, a villa owner, an apartment owner, you actually can make more money by doing short-term labor than if you had a long-term tenant in there, and your property gets looked after a lot better. And because of that, and because there's not so much rules and regulations, I know in Spain you've got to do tourism licenses, etc., but that's not a massive deal. But because of that, more people are coming into this industry, and because of that, it's very saturated. So many people are coming into it. So I was going to say my big recommendation is, because there's so many people coming into it, make sure that don't just try and appeal to everybody. Find a select few, and you will do really well.
I think that the most important thing about what you just said is to put that research first. Most people, I find, do that research after. So I get the apartment, I put it on Airbnb, and 2 years later...
Exactly. So there's amazing tools now that are available to everybody to how to do this research, because in the past you would, like you say, you got a property, you go, oh, I'm gonna put it on, booking.com, I'm going to put it on HomeAway, I'm going to put it on Verbo, I'm going to put it on Airbnb, and then you'll figure out as you go. Where now there's some amazing tools that give you all of this research up front, and it's based on algorithms. Like the main one is AirDNA, AIRD. Yeah, AirDNA, and then you can do the research. So, I mean, I'm an ex-soccer coach. Okay, so I spent many years, about 6-7 years, coaching soccer. And there was 6 P's that we always went by: perfect, planning, prevents, piss poor performance. And so if you plan, then your performance will be so much better. So again, I think that when it comes to this and when it comes to starting a business, whether it's going to be a hobby, a second bit of income, or whether this is going to be your new big thing, your new business, just put a little bit of research into it, make sure that there's a market fit, product fit, and off you go.
That's great insight, Mark. That's great insight. Just put the research before the action, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And I would like to ask you, what would you like the most about this industry, this STR thing, which is growing so much? What is the thing that you find most interesting?
I've been in hospitality ever since the age of 4, and I class short-term rentals as hospitality. People come to me and go, but Mark, I'm not in hospitality. I'm a property manager. I'm in real estate. I go, no. As soon as you have a stranger come and stay in your house, you are in my world, which is hospitality. Okay. And one thing that I love about this industry is that we create memories. Whether it's a vacation or a workcation, staycation, whatever you want it to be, we create memories. So everybody right now who's listening to this, watching this, can think of a vacation that you went on, whether it is a child or a teenager or more recently, and you will instantly remember it. You'll remember the good feelings about it. And there's not many industries out there that have the same effect. And our family business, it was a 14-bedroom guest house. It was a tea rooms. It was a cafe. It was a wedding venue. It was a restaurant. It had holiday accommodation as well attached to it. So we actually got to interact with our guests. We actually got to live with our guests, see our guests on a daily basis. And, you know, on the back of that, what I love the most is that the experiences that you create, the friendships that you can create. And that, I mean, I've been doing it since the age of 4. So there's many long-term relationships that we've made on the back of it. And it is a fantastic industry to be in. And right now, for anybody who wants to get involved, it can be very, very profitable as well, which is a bonus.
You know, I always like to ask how you get involved in STR, but you I suppose you were born into it.
Much. Yeah. So the story is that so I'm from a 6th generation farm, and back in the 80s and the 90s of 1990s, my parents decided that they were going to transform the farm into a guest house. So they torn down the barn and they put 4 bedrooms on. And this was such a risk at the time, you know, prime example of not doing market research. They didn't know what they were getting themselves into. But they did it, and they took that step. They took that leap of faith, and it proved to be very successful. And I was 4 or 5 when this is happening, because I remember going to school. So I was going on the school bus, going to school, very early age, and I saw all this happening. And I was just so used to having strangers in my house every day. So just imagine walking into your front room, walking into your kitchen, and just having somebody there. And I'm just so used to having people all around, and I've just grew up in it. I didn't know any better, you know. And now it's amazing that I get to have my own business. Now our family business sold. My business now, my life, my career, my everything is helping hosts with their marketing, with their websites, with their tools to get their own bookings, and to be able to speak to yourself today. Just, you know, we've got a camera, we've got StreamYard, we're speaking online. It's awesome that I get to do it from my house now.
It's great. To be able to connect with people with that shared interests and passions like this, I think it's a great thing. And please tell us a little bit more about Puedes. There is the link in the description to this video to your webpage, and
thank you.
You can tell us a little bit more about that.
So yeah, Puedes. So in 2011, me and my wife, and we moved back to the family business, because by the time I'd done my own traveling. So I was a soccer coach. I traveled all around America coaching soccer. I met my wife in 2009, and she had done a bit of traveling herself. And we'd been in London for a couple of years, and my parents had still got the business. So it's about 25 years in now. And I'm the eldest of 4. And they wanted one of us to come into the business to help get it online. So we came in. For 5 years, we grew the business. We got it all online. We did really well, doing the email marketing, social media, all of that stuff. And in 2016, I actually started to help other local hosts with their marketing. because other hosts were reaching out to me. This was just in Scarborough and just in Whitby, so very localized to where I was based. And for those of you that don't know the geography of England very well, it's in the northeast, so near Newcastle, Alan Shearer, all that jazz. It's near there, just on the coast. And we had an amazing time. And in 2016, 2017, I was helping hosts on a regular basis when it comes to their marketing. I created a Facebook community called the Hospitality Community. It's a Facebook group that's still going now. And what I found is that because of the work that I was doing and because of the help and advice I was passing, other people from around the country wanted to find out more. So people were joining the group and they were messaging me asking for help. And I got to a point where so many people were messaging me. I was like, well, I can't fit anybody else into my current calendar because I'm in Scarborough and Whitby. I can't travel. And I just had this idea of creating an online support group and charge for it. And it's basically became now the Boostly Academy. And that started in 2017. And over the last 5 years, that's now grown to 1,000 members that are active in there. And we'll all talk about direct bookings. It's a lovely community. And on the back of that, we started doing website design. So now we help hosts all over the world, whether you've got one property or 100 or how many properties, we help you get a website that you can be proud of that actually works. And we link up to Guesty and Hostify and Hostaway and all those cool PMSs. We link up to there. And and then last year I had an idea to write a book. And so I wrote a book and it came out this year, came out in February. And I'm so happy to say, I've actually got a copy right here, prepared. So it's called the Book Direct Playbook. It's available on Kindle, it's available on print, and it's available in Audible. I'm afraid it's only in English. It's not in Spanish, not yet.
Anyhow, we will put the link as well in the description.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon. You can find it on Spanish Amazon, easy. And yeah, so it hit bestseller. So happy and proud of that. And yeah, so that's basically what Boostly is. I think my tagline and my sort of unique selling point is that I help hosts all over the world and get the tools, the tactics, the training, and the confidence to go and get your own bookings. So you don't have to rely on Airbnb for your bookings.
So you teach hosts to be like kind of independent of those big platforms.
Yeah, because it's very, I mean, we are very lucky in this industry. This industry is like no other. I could right now go and open up an STR business. I could get one property. I could take a couple of pictures on my phone and I could upload those pictures to Airbnb or booking.com. And I can pretty much be guaranteed to get bookings and revenue coming in. I do websites. There's no place that I can go and list my website business on that's going to be guaranteed to bring in revenue. It doesn't work like that. With hospitality, because we're so in demand and because there's so many people wanting your services, depends on where you are in the world, obviously, but it's very in demand, and you are guaranteed to get revenue. And it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because it is so easy, but the curse is that because it is so easy, you become over-reliant and you become lazy. And because of that, you go, well, I don't want to do my own marketing. I don't want to do all those things. I don't know how. And the problem is that there's so many people out there who are just saying, well, what you need to do is you need to get a Facebook page. You need to get email set up. You need to get a website, but no one's actually showing you how. And so that is literally why I started, because I was just showing the how to do all of these things. And yeah, the community has been fantastic. We've helped so many people figure out, most importantly, get the confidence to do it themselves, show them the right ways to go about it, because I've tested every single wrong way and I've tested all the right ways. And so I put all the hard work in to make sure that when I give the advice, it's only stuff that works. So people then have the confidence in the tools. And it it started in 2016, it's going strong in 2022, and long may it continue. I want to help 1 million hosts cut down on their over-reliance on Airbnb, booking.com. So if we can get close to that, amazing.
Okay, that's a great project. We'll be following what the next things in Boostly. And talking about the future, Mark, where do you see this business, this industry going? We are now in rough times. The international news are not very happy, and this have been a couple of rough years. But apart from that, and thinking maybe about the big trends, how do you see this industry going? What do you think about medium-term stays like that, and how do you see this whole thing moving in the future?
So it's obviously very hard to predict the future. No one would have predicted 2020. No one would have predicted what's happened so far this year. But there is, I believe, I mean, with everything that's going on, people are still traveling, people are still going on holiday, people are still going on vacations, people are still moving around and traveling. Okay, so it's not like the world has stopped again, like it did do March 2020 for those couple of times. And I know, because I was actually on holiday in England and I got stuck in England for several months. I couldn't get back to my house in Spain. So it's not like that. What I think will come on the back of this is that everybody right now needs to be looking at the next generation of travelers. And the next generation of travelers is Gen Z. Now, when I say Gen Z, people naturally and wrongly assume I'm talking about teenagers or kids. 25-year-olds now as the top age of Gen Z. So 25 is when they've got disposable income, they've got full-time employment, or whatever full-time employment looks like now. And there was a recent survey done the back end of 2021, and the result was that 48% of Gen Z generation will look to take a workcation trip in 2022. So what does that tell you when you read behind the lines?
How many?
48% of Gen Z travelers. So Gen Z generation, people who are in full-time employment, etc., will be looking to take a staycation, workcation, whatever that means. A workcation, sorry. So that is basically having a holiday while they're working.
Interesting.
So what that means is, if you read between the lines, a large majority, a large percentage of Gen Z still live at home with their parents, but they've got full-time work. So what that basically means, with the coronavirus, with the pandemic, with offices closing, people are working from home and they've got this disposable income. So they don't have to pay rent, they don't have to pay for food or bills, mortgages, or anything like that. They've got this chunk of money. And because of them not having to go into the office, what they're looking to do is they will go and stay somewhere and they'll work while they're away, a workcation. So this trend, this traveler trend of people who are coming to stay at your properties and are doing it whilst working, that's not going anywhere. So that could mean that instead of you just relying on your Friday to Sunday guests, you could now appeal to those mid-term stays, which is, mid-term stays could be Monday to Sunday, or for 2 weeks, or for 3 weeks. But that could be in a January, that could be in a February, that could be in a November. That's unheard of, you know what I mean? Especially in touristy locations. So this is not going anywhere. There's a new demographic of guests that has been created. So what do you need to do? Well, number one, Spain has got to sort out its Wi-Fi problems, because there are a lot of them. I've known, because I've experienced it. So if you are very lucky to have good Wi-Fi, you've got to shout about it. You've got to talk about it. Put it in the title of your Airbnb listing. Document it, save it. You've got amazing Wi-Fi. If you want to appeal to people that are on a workcation, can you put in a little desk? Can you put in a little workspace for them that just makes their life a bit easier? So a charging plug nearby, maybe some papers, some whatever you want to be putting out for somebody on a workation.
An extra monitor, maybe.
Well, yeah, a monitor, fantastic idea. A monitor. I know some people in America that are providing ring lights for people that are wanting to go Zoom meetings, etc. And those sort of things could make so much sense, and how you can appeal to a total new guest, because especially in mainland Europe, when you can just drive over the border, especially where, I gave the example earlier of Javier. So many people who travel to Javier were from Holland, we're from Norway, we're from Denmark, in areas, France, Belgium, where they could just jump in a car and drive down. That is not going anywhere. Even with oil and gas prices going up, people will still travel. People are still afraid to get on a flight for whatever reason, maybe of restrictions, or they're just last minute cancellations or whatever. But people are more than happy now to jump in a car and drive. So what's going to come out from in the medium term, definitely this year, let's keep going 2023 and see what happens, is you've got a whole new demographic of guests to look at now, and don't rule out the Gen Z. 25-year-old now is the top end of the Gen Z. So it's, again, they've got a lot more money than what millennials did at this point, and they're willing to spend it on workations. This mini trend of every 4 to 5 weeks of going on a mini 1 week break is happening more and more and more and more.
That's great insight, Mark. That's great insight. I really thank you for being here today. You have given us a little pearls of knowledge that can be very useful going forward. And I encourage everyone to check Puzzly, your web page and your book. And it's been a pleasure and a great honor to having you here with all what you have done in this industry. It's really a great pleasure to have you here, Mark.
Thank you very much.